Good afternoon and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, 50% of you watching this video are not subscribed, so please hit the subscribe button. Let's try and get to 5,000 subs before Christmas. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And most importantly, if you would like to join the debate, simply click on the link in the info box below this video. Be sure to mute the page you are currently watching before you click that link to join the show and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are, however, only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected, but you will be warmly welcome back on the next show. So please do not try to rejoin using sock accounts. I'm about to transition across to my photographs so I can share the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter, and I would encourage anybody who is in the live stream currently to please do the same. Please share the show. Once more, if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Let he do his links. So I've just finished sharing the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter, and once more I would encourage anybody who is in the live chat to please also share the show on social media. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, and if you would like to join the debate with the page you are currently watching on mute, simply click on the link below this video to join the show and express your views. The only rules are please do not swear, and if you are booted for swearing, please do not try to rejoin using sock accounts. You will be welcome back on the next stream. So take a cold shower, go for a walk, do whatever it is you need to do to calm down should you be ejected. And with that, I'm going to transition back to my photographs and say a few shout outs to the people who have joined us already in the live chat. Wow, quite a few of you. Mr. Grim V, pleased to see you. They Lie, Ohio, very pleased to have you here. Scooby-Doo, nice to see you. Yep, shout out to you too, Eleanor. Flat Earth Christian Truthers says yo. Yo to you too. Morky Love said she was first. I'm sure you were. Toto Cult, pleased to have you here, my friend. Very pleased to see you. Everett Anderson, good to see you. We've been joined by Sleeping Warrior, so as soon as I've done these shout-outs, I will say a quick hello to him. Agent Detective, very pleased to have you here. Shill Scanner, nice to see you. David Little, very pleased to have you in our chat. Everett Anderson, that's pretty much it. Yes, I think we've got to the bottom. So let's say a quick hello to Anthony Riley. How are you doing, Anthony?
Good morning, Nathan. How are we?
Very well indeed. Like Arwin, you've now got the opportunity to state your stuff. I'm going to go on mute and leave you to it.
Well, I got wind of Soundly doing an experiment that I reckon all flat earthers should get behind, encourage, and promote the death out of, because I think it's going to create a result that's pretty much unexpected from the ball earthers' point of view, but totally expected from the flat earthers' point of view. And essentially, he's trying to repeat the Bedford Levels experiment from a distance of 8 miles. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I just know that's the gist of it. Now, we're lucky because the flat earth experiment, or the flat earth debate, has already done this experiment, and we already have the results. So we know what we should be getting with regards to the repetition of the Bedford Levels experiment at 8 miles. But Soundly's going to do it with integer points along the way. I think he's putting a light or something every mile or so. So what we can do is we can use the experiment results from the flat earth side to predict the overall result, and then we can modify it slightly to account for the lights that he's putting along the way. And what we then should be able to do is make a prediction and see whether or not we get it. And I just really, whilst I've got no opposition, it's a good chance for me to show what I wanted to show, because I'll be able to get my side into it before I get interrupted by certain people or whatever. And essentially, we should be able to predict reliably what's going to happen. Just going to open up a window that I want to share with you guys, because I noticed there's quite a lot of new chats. If you want to present me, Nath, I noticed there's quite a lot of new people in the debate at the moment. There's a lot of names that I've not seen in before. So what I want to do is share with you guys a guy that is massively he's massively undersubscribed, and I'd encourage all flat earthers to go and get onto his channel and find him. His name's Taboo Conspiracy. Oh, I didn't have the notify set up, but if you go into his channel, you will see some of his earliest videos. And what he's doing is he's done the Bedford Levels experiment at 5 point something miles and also at 8 miles. Now, you do have to scroll down for them, but it gives us something that we can use to basically predict what should happen, because he's already done it. Now, he didn't have the integers along the way, but he did have the overall result. And obviously, as a flat earther, we all know you can see the point where he. Do you mind? Sorry. You can see the point where he comes into flat earth, because he starts doing. This is basically it. So he's got a couple of good experiments doing the Robotham thing. He's got a P900, and he does the Robotham thing over different distances. And the one that's nearest to the Soundly one is the one at 8 miles, which I'm just going to try and dig out now. I should have had this ready up and running, but is it this one? I can't remember which one it is. I think he's done a few. I think it's this one that's the one at 8 miles. And what he does is he says right at the beginning, let's just check if this is it. Yeah, 7.56 miles. So if you haven't seen this guy's video, what he does is he gets his wife to get a flashlight and go and stand the other side of the lake, and he gets her to flash it, and he spends the first few minutes trying to locate the flashlight because he can't see it, but he's on the phone to his missus, and whilst he's on the phone to his missus, she's flashing it on and off, giving pulses, and he spots it eventually, and he's saying, "Is that really you?" And he's like, yeah, and she's like, yeah. And he says, "Right, come down the steps and get yourself onto the beach." And she gets onto the beach, and then he says, "Get down onto your knee," kind of thing. And he said, "Can you get it onto the water line?" And she gets it right pretty much on the water. And obviously he's losing his light by the end of the day. But essentially over 8 miles, the conclusion of it is clear. The conclusion is that we see the light at 8 miles away. You have to do all that noise. Sorry, I'm just being interrupted by the most loudest zip in the world. But Soundly's going to be doing his experiment at 8 miles, and we've already got the evidence that we know the 8-mile observation does. Basically, we see it. And not only do you not need a P900 to see it, you can almost do it. He does it at the beginning. He zooms out, and it's almost with the naked eye, you can almost see it. So for those of us flat earthers that are pretty much on the fence, that are not really sure about what to view or what to think, or even for the people that realize that we don't live on a ball, this is well worth going looking at in the context of what Soundly's thinking of doing, because to be honest, he's doing a reasonably, he's having a go at doing an experiment, and we all encourage this. We all say, come on, this is what ball earthers should be doing, and he's going to go and have a go at it, and that's brilliant. But this is what we see at 8 miles. So if Soundly comes back with anything other than 8 miles and anything other than this, then something's not right. Unless he's in the most unusual magnetic vortex in the whole world and he gets something else. But what this is then going to do is the curvature at 8 miles is that much that the light shouldn't exist. It should be behind the curve of the Earth. So their argument then has to be, well, it's going to have to be the application of standard refraction. And obviously, we all know that standard refraction is the bringing back things that's fallen behind the horizon that you wouldn't ordinarily see. So their position has to be that this is actually an illusion and this doesn't really exist. Then you get put in a dilemma. Well, who can prove whether this is really what you're looking at, or is it an illusion? Now, obviously, if you're on the flat Earth side, it's obvious that this is not an illusion because we don't see any compression above it. If it was bending the light up from behind the curve of the Earth, it would be evidenced by the topography of the land around it being squashed, representing that it's being layered up, it's being bent up, and we're not seeing that. It looks, and if anything, it looks like it's being stretched, not squashed. So the argument that it's illusionary is going to be the position that they must take if they get these results. And our position is going to be, well, there's nothing illusionary about it. It's exactly what you'd expect to see. So it's going to be basically, do you accept that this is application of standard refraction, or do you accept that it's not? Now, this is where he's zooming out. Now, this is almost with his eye. I mean, it's a little bit further than his eye, but from 8 miles away, he can pick out his wife's flashlight. So this is what Soundly should get. If he gets anything other than that, then he's in a magnetic anomaly part of the world or something weird like that. But this is what he should get. Now, the argument, then what happens is, because Soundly's going to have his integers along the way, he's going to have like mile-long repeaters along the way, apparently, or something. I mean, don't quote me on it. I've only heard little bits of what he's supposed to be doing. I don't know exactly his methodology, but I believe he's putting mile-long markers along. He's then going to apply. Well, we can use his own evidence to suggest what's actually going to happen. So if I go to Phuket Word, you can see. Oops, where's Phuket Word gone? We can see the application of what we see with Soundly's work, which then gives us an ability to predict what he's likely to see, because Nick's done a really good video of basically a flat road. And what he does is he drops his elevation. There's a flat road. There's definitely no curve on that. All the lines of perspective are all dead straight. There is a little bit of integers and a little bit of messing around in the actual contour of the road, but the road essentially is flat. Now, as Nick drops down, what I want to point out to people is, at this point, look how you can almost see dead straight lines up to the horizon, and there appears to be a little bit of bend right at the very end. Now, what he does is, further in this video, he zooms in. This is it. And that is exactly what we see with Soundly's stuff. Soundly's Pontchartrain stuff does exactly that. This could be the causeway going over Pontchartrain, and then it kind of lips back on itself, and it looks like it bends back on itself. And you can see that. Now, if we apply the notion of putting mile markers down this way, you could use the lampposts that are here as mile markers in practice. You could say that'll be 1 mile marker, that'll be another mile marker, and then the third one looks like it bends away. We know it's already flat. He showed that it's flat, but then the 4th, the 5th, and 6th one don't appear to even be there. They appear to have dropped behind the curve of the Earth. But we know there's a mile marker at 8 where the light should be present. So it'll be interesting to see at the point where the lights appear to bend away, that is clearly atmospheric refraction. They will cite that it's the ball, it's the curve of the Earth. But then it'll be interesting to see what happens with the lights that go beyond this mirroring band at the horizon, because they're either going to be visible or not visible. Now, in my experience, this appears to block stuff out and we can't see behind it. but we do know that we can see 8 miles. So it looks like there's going to be mile marker 5, 6, 7, and the 8th one will be interesting to see what results are shown, because I think that you might not see 5, 6, and 7. They'll argue it's refraction going behind the curve of the Earth, but we know that we'll see the 8th. So it will be interesting to see what happens. And the debate issue is, let's predict the experiment. Let's predict the results he should get, why he should get them, and what happens if he gets results that are not in support of the ball Earth. Because I'm going to shout this one from the start. He's going to get this atmospheric effect that he's already got on the Pontchartrain stuff. He's going to get, I don't know what will happen with 5, 6, and 7, but I know that he'll see 8. So if he takes it from the side on view like this and he gets it coming in from the left rather than being dead behind it in a dead straight line, if he gets it slightly side on like his Pontchartrain stuff, then we're not going to see a straight line. It should bend down at the beginning part of it. And then I'm not sure about 5, 6, 7, but number 8, we know we'll see. So the debate is, what results is he going to get and why? And what evidence have you got to assert your position? Because I've given some evidence to assert my position. So I'm expecting the likes of Grim V to pop on now and basically call me a retard and all the usual kind of stuff. But nonetheless, what is the position? What does the ball Earth side expect to see and why? Have you got any views, Nathan?
Oh, well, I think what you've shown is pretty self-explanatory. It's not been contested anyway, so at this point, that seems very convincing. But like I say, there's nobody to challenge it in any way, shape or form, and I hardly heard it the first time because it was being talked over so much.
Yeah, if we can get debate going, then and it's proper debate where people give the chance to respond and allow people to speak, then it'll work. But if it's just like speaking over people all the time for no purpose, then that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Give me a couple of seconds, I'll do a quick link. I'm hoping to get to 5,000 subs before Christmas. Whether or not I do is a different matter, but hence me plugging subs constantly. But I'll do a couple of links, hopefully it'll encourage a few people to join. So if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. As I say, it would be lovely to get to 5,000 subs, and literally more than 50% of the people who are watching these videos are not subscribed. So if you're not, please hit the subscribe button. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to debate Sleeping Warrior, as Physics Warrior has just joined, I don't think he'll be debating with Anthony, but we shall see. I'll give him an introduction in a moment. But if you would like to join the debate and debate any of the panel members, simply click on the link in the info box below this video. Be sure to mute the page you are currently watching. So the page you are listening to me giving you this information on needs to be on mute before you click that link. Other than that, there's only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, you will be warmly welcome back on the next stream. So please don't try to rejoin using sock accounts. With that, I'm going to say a warm hello to Physics Warrior. Pleased to have you here.
Greetings, Nathan. Greetings, Riley.
Hola.
Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. Do you have any views on Soundly's plans for repeating the Bedford Levels experiment at 8 miles?
Oh, well, actually, the reason why I came in here is from yesterday's presentation, Riley. Just to catch up, when you were explaining about the refractions, and then that's negligible, you were going off Mix-Bunk's equation. Is that true?
Sure. I was using that is the go-to model that they all use. Yes.
Okay. Well, I've noticed too that can we just somewhat agree that at night is less refraction than it is also during the day? Could that be true?
That's my assertion. Yeah. I don't know whether it's scientifically supported or proven, but that's why we did the Blackpool Tower observation at nighttime, to try and minimize or negate atmospheric conditions. So I would support that, but I don't know that it's scientifically true.
Okay. Well, yeah, because I mean, based on like the models that everybody was showing with the water and and the building, somewhat, we had a hard time having a discussion with it or a debate with that. I thought maybe if we've used, instead of like another place or another area that's without any obstructions, it could be possible that we could just see exactly what is the refraction and also where is somewhat of a declination on the landscape. But with the water being an obstruction, And seeing that that big bulge before, and haven't seen the tower also with the antenna. It shows like it was such a deep declination. I mean, or actually, you couldn't even see the building, just the antenna itself. So that was somewhat of an illusion to me.
Sorry, I just put my headphones on and you cut a little bit out. Which tower are you referring to?
Well, we're trying. It wasn't yours. It was actually Curve's presentation, or actually, I don't know where he
Yeah, you're
got
on about.
that, but
Oh, right. So what I can do is I responded to that yesterday because it was right at the end of Nathan's chat, and it basically I didn't have time to respond to it, but it allowed me chance to go away and formulate the actual answer, evidence the answer rather than just speculate on it.
yeah.
And initially, my position was well, there was 2 or 3 potential explanations for it. But if I let me just pop up my channel, pop up my video. Just bear with me a sec while I find it. Because there's one my channel.
Okay.
Just bear with me while I get to it. There we go. So if I copy that, paste it to there, and then share my screen. Okay.
There you go.
Nathan, if you want to just present to everyone so that it stays in chat. What I did was I asked Ranty. The way I interpreted how it closed yesterday was that Curved was asking, why is the water so high up on Jenna Frodo's link on the 2 different photos? Why is the water high? And his other point was, where is the Rogers Centre? And that's what I went away to try and work out. Now, I don't have the skills to do this. I had to ask Ranty to do it because I know that he can do the overlay thing. So I asked Ranty, would he overlay the 2 photos, and let's see if we could see any differences or discrepancies between the 2 photos, just empirically.
Oh, interesting.
Just empirically to see what was the difference between the photos. And what we noticed was that there was 2 or 3 of the buildings that were physically in a different location. And that meant that the photo that was taken, or the 2 photos we were comparing, were not taken from the same place because there's evidence of parallax of the buildings. Most of the buildings are pretty much exactly the same, but there's one particular one, this tall building here, and the smaller building here are parallaxing with each other, and that proves that the photo wasn't taken in the same place. But what we were also able to show is that the Rogers Centre was in fact in the picture, but there's also a bigger level of mirage in one of the images than there is in the other, and the mirage discrepancy is what is hiding the Rogers Centre. So as Ranty is now flicking between the 2, hopefully this will work. I'm getting the thing saying that it's not connected. Come on. Here we go. Is it working? Oi! Pack it in. For some reason, it's decided not to play.
It's okay.
What he does is he toggles. He kind of. It's like the application of the blink test, they call it, where he flicks between the 2 photos. And what he was trying to do was just line up the buildings and see if he could get them to match. And he basically got it perfect. And the conclusion was that the water's in the same position. It's just it's a different time of the day, and it's a different level of refraction. I don't know why it's not playing. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I might be able to do it manually, but if I flick between the 2 of them manually, you can see that.
While you're waiting for that, Riley, while you're waiting for that to load, my question is to you, or actually, I'm not sure if you've answered yesterday, is that when you see something that far, or actually, or if it's actually hidden from the water, now wouldn't the buildings be, in a sense, be curving downwards away instead of? Well, let's just say, for example, we use the antenna that I saw yesterday, and it looks like it was really, really deep. Wouldn't that antenna look like it would be pointing away from you, in a sense, like angled away?
This is where I agree with the ballers. To get 1 degree of movement or angular movement in the antenna that you're calling, I think you mean the CN tower. To get just 1 degree, you need to be 70 miles away, and it would be you would not be able to perceive it. So no, I don't agree that you would see it tipping backwards. But I agree.
Well, that was the glitch from my perspective yesterday, seeing to see how deep it was or how high the actual the illusion or the actual water was. That's why it didn't look like it was 69 miles away based on my perspective.
Sure. I mean, it is deceiving how far away these things look, because the P900 does have an incredible zoom on it. You can get really zoomed in. But that being said, am I getting feedback on myself, or is it something else going on?
Oh, you're good, Riley. Let me put it on mute just in case.
Yeah, that's better. Oh no, it's not. I don't know why I'm getting feedback myself. It must be these headsets. I'm gonna flick it back and go into the normal thing. Hang on. I agree. Yeah, I'm getting weird feedback. I'm gonna drop and come back in. 1 sec.
Hello, Nathan.
Hello. I think we're going to be joined by Grim or Cat Earth soon. Both are getting agitated in the chat with Sleeping Warrior, so we shall see. I think they're going to wait till the end of his presentation, though. Good to have you here.
You're coming in like
Comedian
rice.
Eye. Thanks for being here. How's it doing? You okay now, Sleeping Warrior?
No, I'm not. I don't think so. So it sounds like it's in water. Am I the only one that's getting this?
It could be my the last time I had somebody say this, it was my desk. So if you give me a second, we'll lose sound for a fraction of a second while the desk restarts. But it could just be that. I'll try it.
Okay.
Done.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it still sounds a bit like Dalek-y for me. I'm getting feedback like a Dalek.
Weird.
Yeah, I could hear like you're in an echo chamber.
Right.
And myself.
Not sure. I'm not sure what the issue is.
Hey, Nathan.
How you doing? Is that Tony? Yes, it is Tony. How you doing, Tony?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Tony.
What's up?
Out of interest, Tony, are you getting any feedback?
Yeah, it sounds electronic.
Weird.
I'm blaming the host.
It must be my end if you're all having the same problem.
I just hear it off you, though, I think.
Do you not hear yourself when you're talking?
Might have to jump out and start again.
Give me a second. I'm going to turn up my iPad just so I can hear it. What's actually going out to the audience, if that makes sense.
Stretched, not squashed. So the argument that it's
You wanna-
Let me jump
sing a
out and see
song.
what happens.
Sounds perfect going out to the audience. If you guys can deal with it, I'm sorry. I don't know what the problem is.
It's weird. I just can't understand it. Dang it.
Weird.
Well, I'll just carry on and see if it picks. It might improve as we get better.
Or it could have been one of the other guests causing it and they both just dropped, so maybe they'll both come back and it'll solve the problem. I'll pop the screen on you anyway, so if they do come back, it won't pop off you.
No, it doesn't seem to be to do with them. It seems more to do with the internet itself, or maybe I reckon it's Nathan. I think it must be something to do with Nathan. But if the song is they can hear it all, I can make my point. The conclusion of my point was that the Rogers Centre, I should be sharing now. Yeah, the Rogers Centre is visible. It's just in a bigger layer of mirage. But the perception was that the water was rising up the buildings, and it's not. It was just the application of the Skunk Bay footage, which shows that different parts of the day we get different levels of refraction. And I'll show you that now. It's in my favorites. In the Skunk Bay footage, this is what we see. So what it appears is that we're getting 2 frames of different times of the day, just showing what we're looking at here, different levels of standard refraction in the flat Earth context, which is not seen behind the curve of the Earth. It's simply seeing more or less stretch and shrink. That's all we were seeing. So I'm satisfied, evidentially, that the evidence was there to support it being a flat Earth interpretation, or to support a flat Earth interpretation. Curve won't agree with it because he sees it differently, and ultimately we got to the conclusion yesterday that it can go either way. You can interpret it either way, and it's essentially inconclusive. But if depending on which side of the discussion you're on, you're going to accept the one that you perceive to be the correct one. Yo, Curved.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We've been joined by Curved Water. Very pleased to have you here.
Cool. Thanks.
I'm guessing you heard what I was saying then, Curved.
I've been moving and setting up. I basically have the gist of what's going on here, I think. I don't understand why you're doing what you're doing the way you are, but is Nathan talking?
No, there appears to be a gremlin in the system today. I don't know why, but are you hearing yourself when you're speaking?
No, I don't hear myself.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit.
Sorry.
I do hear me a little bit.
We've been joined by Alex, aka Cat Earth. Very pleased to have you here.
Hello. Pleased to be
Hello.
here.
It's really bad when Nathan talks.
Yeah, Nathan sounds like he's
Yeah.
underwater, like he's in
Sound
space or something.
Yeah. You're in space, Nathan. You're on the ISS.
You found it.
I mean, if
You
you guys
sent
are
him
happy
there.
to carry on, I can restart my whole computer. I've probably got a couple of minutes before the hangout will end. It just means, people will just see a gap in the live show. When it renders, there'll be no gap. But if you guys want me to, I can restart, just carry on chatting, and then I'll let you know when we're back live.
What happens if someone swears?
You won't be broadcast. I'll be
Oh no, yeah,
restarting
yeah,
the
won't be
computer.
broadcasting. Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll just chat. We'll really get into it while we're
Okay.
off air.
If it does end up being a new show, it won't make any difference to you. The live audience will just get told. But in other words, you guys don't need to worry anything until I come back and say, right, we're on the air again. It might be 5 minutes.
All right. Sounds good.
Check. 1, 2. Mic back. That's all working. Can you hear me in the hangout? Am I still sounding robot-y? Can you just let me know in the chat, please? You're back. Yes. Feeling good. My photos while I sort this out.
Bed.
No.
It's okay.
No, it's not okay. No, get out of
Just doing a mic check.
Yep.
Now you're echoing.
We're back on the air now, so please do not swear.
You sound good now.
Brilliant. Just a
Finally.
restart needed. All good. We're back on the same stream. Everything's running. They can hear us. Looks like you're going out to
Good.
the audience. Everything's hunky-dory.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It does appear to be fixed.
Excellent.
Yeah, it is.
Right, so
Echo check. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. Hold on.
Kev, do you want to carry on with what you started? You said you don't know why.
Why you're doing what you're doing with this.
Because you asked me to.
I didn't ask you to do anything about an overlay trying to, mislead people. You're missing the elephant in the room here, Riley.
Well, you asked me where was the Rogers Centre. Why does it appear that the water's going up the building? So I've got you the answers.
Where is the Rogers Center is just a question that sums up where is all of the missing skyline in the image.
I demonstrated
there was here's another. Yeah, no, you haven't. You have shown that refraction varies the amount of skyline that is visible, and that sometimes, and even when you get down to the water, you gain an advantage with the light, basically, and laugh all you want, hugging the curve.
Well, Nathan, do you want to share my screen so that Curve can see it? Because we did go through this with Imrich's channel last night.
Yeah, and you're the only one that thought what you think. Nobody is with you, Riley.
That doesn't make it not true. That's the bandwagon fallacy. That does not make it true. You asked me why was the Rogers Centre not in the picture, and you asked me why did the water appear? Where's the rest of the buildings? And I've demonstrated that the buildings were not missing.
You know,
what do you mean games?
Prove it's the moon. Prove it's not behind the sun.
Right, you asked me where was the Rogers Centre.
We know what you do. We know what you do.
So you're saying that this is some kind of misrepresentation? Is that what your position is?
You're trying to, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. You're trying to find some way to mislead people away from looking at the elephant.
It looks cherry picked.
What are you talking about? No, it's not cherry picking. It's application of refraction. That's
lining up the water line. You know, the horizon is not going to line up to the city if it's taken from two different vantage points to begin with.
Let me restate my
building and overlaying, you know, the skyline to try to, you know, line. It's a game.
How is it a game when we're comparing like for like, which is exactly what you asked me to do?
I'll tell you what, I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'm just going to people are going to make their own conclusions anyway.
Absolutely. So let me clarify the assertion that in some way I'm misrepresenting. You asked me where is the Rogers Centre and where's the rest of the buildings. So I'm going at it from the position that it's a reflection of the Skunk Bay footage, which I've got on screen right now. And all I'm taking it from the perception is that this is what we're seeing, but we're seeing it in relation to the Toronto skyline. So on that basis, my position was to overlay them and see do we get evidence that supports that position to be true, and we do. Now, the fact that you don't think so doesn't make it misrepresentative. It just means that you dismiss the interpretation. That's fine. But to assert that it's a misrepresentation is dishonest because it isn't.
No, you can't prove it's dishonest. Do you want to play that game?
No, you can't prove
it. Just talk about facts. No, you just called me dishonest, and you can't prove it by your own standards.
Yeah, but you said I'm misrepresenting the facts, and I'm not. I'm doing exactly what you asked me to do.
But I'm not going to bicker with you about this. This is silly. The Skunk Bay footage, you've got a problem there with the fact you're showing refraction, moving these things up and down in the distance, but you're not dealing with something that's basically obstructed to begin with. You're just showing the effects of refraction that you appear to be denying happened in the first place. I'm
asserting that it is refraction, and it's as per the Skunk Bay footage. It's not as per heliocentricity, which states that it's allowing you to see behind the ball.
Oh, would you please stop saying heliocentricity? This is not a heliocentric issue.
And can you stop saying assertion as well? Sorry.
What are you talking about? This is heliocentricity.
Good. No, it's not.
Yes, it
is. This has
absolutely
less than nothing to do with heliocentricity.
You are literally gish galloping to distract. If you stay on topic.
No. Yes. Anthony, what is gish gallop?
Making loads of random bullshit up to distract away from the point that's being made. The point that's being made is where's the Rogers Centre and why is the water chopping?
You're gish galloping with the heliocentricity thing.
No, I'm not. How is it gish gallop?
How is this a heliocentric? Do you know what heliocentricity is?
Yes, it's the idea that everything orbits around the sun. But at that point,
all right. So if the Earth is stationary and everything orbits around the sun, that's going to give a different view to if we orbit around. If everything orbits around the Earth, That's going to give a different view than if we all orbit around the sun.
We've been
You're
joined
saying
by
that affects the view.
Mr. Grim V. Pleased to have you here.
Right, I'm going to make a prediction. Sorry.
Can you answer the question first?
Thanks. Pleasure's all mine.
I'm going to make a prediction now that there's 1, 2, 3 ballers against me, and what will actually happen is you'll see application of the bandwagon fallacy here against me in an attempt to try and discredit the evidence.
Do you want me to be on your side, Riley? I'll be
No. I want the evidence to speak for itself, and I want the interpretation.
Yeah, I'm going to argue your evidence.
I'm just trying to point out this is what they
About
do.
your misrepresentation of the first demonstration you showed. How you compress compress the visualizations of the gases on the very thin layer of gases that are actually on the blacktop, while you manipulated that by viewing through that very thin layer of gases on the blacktop to create the same effect that you were trying to see at the bottom of curved videos, which is also because of a thin layer of atmosphere, thicker atmosphere on the surface of the water area. So even though you tried to misrepresent that, I caught you, and I just wanted to point that out before you jumped around on the chessboard, knocking over all the pieces, talking about checkmate. Open all over the chessboard. So it's a manipulation yet again, from the flat Earth debate.
All right. Well, obviously, I'm not going to be able to have a conversation with Grim, so I'm going to conclude by saying I'm going to step out now because the conversation's not going to go anywhere. But I've overlaid, I've answered, and I've addressed it with evidence that's contrary to your opinion curved, and I don't see how you can argue against it, especially from a misrepresentation point.
I don't expect you to see it. Can you tell me why heliocentricity
on that viewing point
would affect the view versus geocentricity?
Ask the question. Ask that question again. I didn't catch it.
Can you explain how the view would be different in heliocentricity versus geocentricity?
Well, it would be the same. But the heliocentric, I'm talking about the idea that's orbiting the sun.
Okay, now, you realize that's not a globe versus flat thing.
Okay, semantical and distraction. I concede your point. You are semantically correct.
I'm absolutely correct. This is not
absolutely semantically correct. You are absolutely correct, but you are also semantically correct. Let's not distract from it. Let's go back to the evidence and tell me how it's misrepresentation.
Why don't you get the water levels to line up?
Well, we did further in the video.
They're definitely very lined up.
Right, it started off. It was level there, and then we were
the
trying.
Correct size of the tower there. The left bulb or the right bulb that's twice as big as it.
Really, Grim, I'm not even going to engage in any conversation with you because you're so disrespectful. You just wasted my time, and I'm just not prepared to engage.
Said that again and again, and you've shown nobody's being disrespectful.
Yeah, I've shown everything. Yeah, I've shown everything, Grim.
Yeah. Well, in your admission, you said that they're both mirages, right? Look at this mirage effect. This is another mirage effect.
It's comparable with this. It's completely comparable with this. Yes, that's my position.
Right. So
all we're seeing is 2 frames from a different time in the day and essentially seeing different levels of refraction.
They're different days.
That's right. The entire image is projected up there. That's what you're seeing.
Cameras, different days.
Yeah, but what I'm saying,
position on Earth, there's all kinds of different things.
Sure, but what I'm saying is,
what time of year was that?
What does it matter? The point is, it's literally we're seeing on one frame.
The atmosphere could be hot while the water is still very, very cold. It all matters.
I agree, and that is literally refraction as per the standard refraction model cited on the website. Not the one he calculates for, but the one he references.
That's why I mentioned it. Obviously.
So basically, what my position is this: we are looking at one frame on that Toronto skyline, and it may as well be this frame. And then the next picture is like, let's find a better one where there's a bit more madness to it. And that's what we're doing. We're comparing directly the 2 frames. And the argument was that the water was covering the Rogers Center, but it wasn't. It was literally stretching and shrinking. That's my position. It's not misrepresenting. It's applying the facts, applying the Skunk Bay footage. That is refraction. It's not what you guys think it is.
You're misrepresenting the idea of refraction.
I'm not.
The image up to your eye from around the corner.
Mirroring.
It's not just shrinking and growing.
Well, that's
mirroring the image from the viewer's perspective. Look, the light is coming from above the area being viewed, and the eye is above the area being viewed. So the mirror of the image is going to be reflecting upward toward the eye of the observer. Do you not understand how refraction works? That's why you're sitting around the curve, dude.
No,
that's the only reason.
Well,
it is that simple.
If you think that you're entitled to think
failed
that.
high school, did you? Never mind. I don't even want to get into it because that's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
you're definitely misrepresenting, and I know you're doing it on purpose.
Of
because
course,
this is the first time you've been explained that very simple concept. The light
sure
comes
I've not been
from
exposed?
above the view, the eye of the observer.
Are you sure you didn't mean exposed then?
The area being viewed.
It sounded like you misspoke then. It sounded like you should have said exposed.
Body bag.
Now line up the water in this view, Riley.
No sense.
Line up the water in this view with the other videos. Line up the water. And
is this the Jennifer
explain where the Rogers Center. The who?
Is this the Jennifer one?
No, it's not. No, Jennifer.
That's Cara's.
This isn't Cara's either. This was made before Cara was even arguing flat Earth, as far as I know.
Oh, I thought she made this one.
I'm not quite sure who did.
But I know there's no refraction there. I mean, she picked a day where there's no anomalies. It was a nice day. She picked the day where she wouldn't have to deal with refraction. Because if you know refraction is a thing, why don't you just pick a day where there is no refraction, and then you can actually argue the truth of the curve.
Well, I did address what happens at nighttime with the Toronto Tower, and it still appears to give the same consistent results. I'm not sure what this one is that you're citing here. I've looked into this, and I have no explanation for it.
To be a bit of fraction,
but you realize
there is a medium in the first place.
And trying to say you've looked into this and you're not sure, like if you're going to question the authenticity of this, that's why I referred you also to Jenna Fredo, who also has video with her, God bless P900 camera.
Yeah, but there are other people that have time-lapse photography of the Toronto skyline that don't show this. So my question is,
where? Whoa. Who has time-lapse photography of the Toronto skyline?
I'll show you.
From this distance that doesn't show this. How big of a variation are we talking about?
Well, Joshua Nowicki's one. I mean, Nathan,
Josh Nowicki is Chicago with Lake Michigan. That's a whole different issue.
Well, all right. So it's a
ball on it.
Does it make any difference if it's the same kind of distance?
Well, yeah, it makes a difference. No, not really. No difference, Riley. It doesn't matter. Let's just chalk it up down to we'll chalk it up to magnetic declination being a hoax. How about
Nate,
that?
just present me to everyone. And then Curved can talk me through how this claim of half the Curved, if you can talk me through this one.
I'll talk you through anything.
Nathan, do you want to present me so that they can see it?
Yeah, man, I do. I just don't let you guys know, but just assume that I'm listening.
Okay. I didn't swear, did I? I thought I just laughed. It was all involuntary.
No, you're all good, Graham. You're all good.
Okay.
Right, so Curved, if you talk me through this one, it may not be the same skyline, but this is time lapse of, and this is exactly my point that I was making with the point that you said. I'm saying it's the application of Skunk Bay, and it's stretching and shrinking, and you're looking at two separate frames throughout the day, and they're showing the same thing but different levels of refraction. And this is supported by this one, which is doing the exact same thing. So what I'm asking you is, what is the explanation for the one that you're showing that the water looks like we're made on a basketball? Because that doesn't appear to be the case.
Looks like it. Why would you bring up basketball? How mathematically illiterate are you?
He's trolling you right now, dude. Just pointing out.
I bring up basketball because you're bringing up. If you bring up your picture and you show that, you bring it up showing.
Okay. There's no triggering here. There's just Riley wrecking himself, hanging himself on his own words.
I think Riley's done a really good job. Carry on, Riley. Good work.
So, Kev, bring up your. I mean, I've just showed what time lapse photography shows of refraction on a building skyline, and you're showing one that looks like Soundly's made it, and we live on a basketball. So what I'm asking is, how is that consistent with the three occasions that I've shown you?
Wow. All right. Well, let me ask you this: does it really matter if what you're saying is correct? If you think it might be, is that your point? Of
course, it does.
No, but what I'm saying is, I've shown you three occasions where it's consistent with my perception, my version of events, my interpretation.
Look at those go crazy in the stretching light. Look at that. That's beautiful.
I've got to click on Riley's screen.
Play that again.
Let's follow this through. What is it? What's your point here, Riley?
Thank you for having
My
me.
point is that this is another example of refraction as per Skunk Bay. You see the building stretching and shrink, stretching and shrink. My point is that we're not seeing what you're showing, which is the water line rising high above the buildings. So my question is, have you got other citations for the water doing what you're saying it's doing? Or are you saying that I'm cherry picking the results?
What are you talking about? Riley,
I know.
You have buildings that rise up into view and go below the view.
I don't think he realizes what he's talking about.
No, I don't think you guys. I don't think you guys.
That's further away than what you were talking about. Plus,
you guys are literally applying the bandwagon fallacy to try and defeat me, and it's not happening.
You can see that happening. Watch the red light disappear.
Yeah, the red light near the middle of the screen at the horizon.
It's obvious.
There are buildings that rise up into view and then disappear back below the horizon. Exactly the opposite of what you claim.
No, it's not rising above.
No, it's gone. Now it's back.
Riley?
Now it's gone.
Which light you on about?
Right in
Why
the middle.
don't you look?
Just to the right of your mouse. Down.
This mast.
There it comes back. There it is. Nope. Down there, right there. On your left. See the red light that you're avoiding below your mouse on the right?
Oh, on the horizon. This one here.
Pop back into view right at the end of the video. Right there.
How many times do we have to say on the horizon?
On the horizon.
And you know how many feet that is? Look, that's the whole top of the building disappeared on the right-hand side. Where'd it go?
Exactly what you say doesn't
Where'd the top of that building go? On the right of that.
It's stretching and shrinking as per Skunk Bay.
And it disappeared under the horizon.
And shrinking into and out of view relative to the horizon. Yes.
Your own.
All it's doing, look at the top of this building here.
Right.
Look, Anthony, look at the top of this building. Just watch. Look how the top of the building is dropping.
Just debunked yourself with your own video, and I appreciate you for doing my work for me.
No, not really. If you claim that's debunking myself, then you are
really. Yes, it is. You can't be objectively enough, honest enough to be objective to know that what you just saw debunks yourself. Then there's no sense having conversations with you in the first place.
No, I agree. There is no sense in having conversations with me.
There is a point, Grim.
So why are you here then?
With a dishonest person like that.
There is a point. And here's the point to having Riley speak. Any reasonable, sane, honest person out there listening to him gets to hear how he argues.
Yeah, with evidence.
That's it.
No,
the evidence that you
contrary to
contradicts
what you convey.
No, it doesn't contradict me.
It's show evidence. It's like cognitive dissonance. You don't even see it happening. It's like an operating system. You're Linux, and we're trying to tell you about the Windows stuff or whatever. You're just does not compute.
Cannot compute.
You're not seeing it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what.
It has to be shown that the building disappeared under the horizon, and then you still, for some reason, are acting like it didn't happen. But we all saw it. Everyone saw it, Riley.
Stretching and shrinking. And we are not. And don't forget, at nighttime, once the sun's removed, we remove the atmospheric refraction. It gets back down to a controllable.
Never remove atmospheric refraction. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, but when the sun's not there, we can see that there's very little atmospheric
in the
refraction.
atmosphere and refraction.
So all we're doing is
No. That's not always the case, Riley. That's not always the case.
It's about temperature.
To put it
simply.
It's about
temperature. It's not about daytime. It's about temperature of the mediums.
Grim, can you stand by your word and not communicate?
It's about the density of the mediums.
There's no point you talking to me.
You understand it's about density of the mediums, right? I'm making a very valid point that you're trying to dismiss out of
Hey, Nathan, if you hear me, can you play the daytime, nighttime video?
Daytime, nighttime, sexy.
Ooh, ooh.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I've made my point and I've supported it with evidence. You guys dispute and reject it. You're entitled to do that. But the conversation really can't go any further. And on that basis, Grim being in speaking over the top of me, there's no point in even communicating. So I'm going to step out and you guys can dominate it.
The conversation can't
have a
go
good conversation.
Gallop and Grand Stage 2, dude.
No, the conversation can't
was
go
already debated. You don't have to act like it hasn't yet been debated, or we need further debating to do it. It's
no,
all
you don't have to act like an absolute over me all the time, do you?
Hands clap.
You just showed buildings rising and disappearing behind the horizon.
I showed refraction as per the Skunk Bay footage, which is the real refraction.
You showed refraction causing the buildings to come up above the horizon and go below it.
No, they're resetting
Right
back
there
to
in
the
front of
point
your face.
before refraction because the sun's gone down and it's not affecting things anywhere near as
Listen to
much.
this. Oh my God. I hope you people are listening to him. He's looking at this and telling you that what is happening is not what it is. These buildings are rising up due to refraction and disappearing behind the horizon.
Yeah, but what version is it consistent with? Is it dropping behind the curve, or is it consistent with what I'm showing you, which is the Skunk Bay footage?
My God, that's the entire point. The refraction raises it up beyond the curve, from beyond the curve.
So at the
That's
beginning
what brings
of the day,
it into view in the
very
first
little
place.
refraction. At the end of the day, there's very little refraction. But during
Are
the
you
day,
really talking over him
Oh
as
my!
you just complained about being talked over?
We
When
see
you
course he
start
is.
talking over people, you can't
Shrinking.
complain about being stepped on when you get stepped on. You can't make that
Let's
be
talk
the
about
premise
magnetic.
of your whole argument is being stepped on and talked over.
Let's talk about magnetic declination, Riley.
Let's not bother. What's the point? There's no point in talking while
The
Grim's
Riley effect.
Well, what about so that you can
Why is
become
the sky
educated
blue,
and
Riley?
not try to make that a point? You don't understand the magnetic declination maps, and you're trying to say that when people are looking south, they're not really looking south, that they're looking in different directions because you don't understand magnetic declination.
Curved. You know that I respect you, and you know that I enjoy debating with you. But right now, I can't debate anything with you because Grim's just going to constantly ruin it. There's just no point in me being here while Grim's here. So on that basis, guys,
Good morning and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a link to Super Chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the debate with the page you are currently watching on mute, simply click on the link in the info box below this video to join the show and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are, however, only a couple of rules in the Hangout. First of all, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. If you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. You will be warmly welcome back on the next stream.
Oh, what happened? Debonair. What's up, man? Boy, I've been binge watching these videos for the last couple of days, and I think I'm going insane.
Oh, you will? Yeah, if you don't do it with an ounce of humor.
Oh my God, you have to.
Cannabis.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, last night that's what I was like. Okay, I'm gonna smoke a little bit and then watch this. I even jumped on yesterday too, but I'm not good enough to really get deep into it. So it sucks everyone left because I'm really not the best at it. I'm kind of new at getting to know really the arguments in globe and flat. But,
right. Well, okay, cool. You don't. Yeah, you probably don't want to start with me.
oh no, I believe in the globe. You know, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You still might not want to start with me.
Yeah. No. You remind me of a friend of mine. I was. But yeah, I was watching. I don't know, man. I like the way you dissect people. It's great. Okay.
I feel like they dissect themselves.
Yeah.
And then you know how it is.
But what makes me mad is like they're always picking videos that are just the worst day, like the worst possible day. There's a Phantom Morgana. There's the worst possible day to be videotape something, and then they use that as evidence. You know.
Yeah.
It seems a lot easier just to
like Anthony misrepresenting the actual physics of what we're seeing, trying to replicate the physics by using a compressed version of the physics and dropping the camera down on the ground, which is obviously that's not a flat surface anyway. We can see all the different humps in it. So you can't assume that's a flat surface. So therefore you're not assuming that it's already like Soundly's video at all. That's how manipulative these guys are.
And you
through this little thin layer of heat on the asphalt. Okay, of course, yes, you're going to have gaseous atmospheric pressure on the asphalt that's going to be different than the norm of the rest of the air above it because of the gradient of the heat reduction and all that fun stuff. And people need to know that they're using that misrepresentation to try and mimic what we're seeing in the actual atmosphere through the larger atmospheric, conditions.
Yeah, and that Lake Pontchartrain, when they always say that when they say that he was fudging that, what you'll see is when that other video, I guess that the Flat Earther did it, he was videotaping at a 45-degree angle looking. You're not going to see any bulge like that. Soundlink gets like butts up right next to the bridge, so he can look down and then zooms in. That's the only way you're going to be able to see
outside, so we can see the bulge on the side too, which you can see. You just,
it's easier to discern when you're like right next to it and you can see the actual bulge happening. And and are you going to fault a man for being good at what he does?
Well, let's just ignore the vernal equinox too. Let's ignore that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I love that.
Right.
I love
how the
that.
Heck how the heck does the sun come due east, straight down the east and west running street?
Yeah.
If the
that's my new. I'm going to use that now. That's one of my new arguments.
Yeah. If the Earth is flat, it can't. It's to be way far away sun.
Zenith.
Yeah. But,
it's interesting. Sometimes I wish I never got into Sometimes I wish I never got into this because I get so. I'll be eating like last night. My girl was doing a puzzle and I was sitting there and I'm like out of nowhere I'm like, what the? I got all mad.
Yeah.
I scared them. I'm like, what? She's like, you gotta stop watching that. You're getting way too invested.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I wish someone else come in. Jeez. We need a flat earther in here.
No,
where's David at? Where's David at?
Impossible for a flat Earth argument to feel affirmation. So,
we might have to jump out and then jump back in. Might have to do a trick move. We'll jump out, and then when they jump in, we'll jump back in. Oh, wait, they're listening. Never mind. No.
It's like, yeah, well, I've got to go for a while, guys. I have a dentist appointment. Yeah, that's
me too.
The ticket.
Yep. All right.
Be here. So, wink, wink, and then...
All right, man. I'll see you at lunch. We're still meeting at the same place, right? What's up, Nathan?
Yeah.
Man, thanks a lot for man. These are great. Like these little debate hangouts you have are great.
We're gonna have to flip them to probably like plasma cosmology debates or something else because the flat Earth was too easy. It's already skerplunked.
How about sovereign citizens? That's fun.
Oh God.
That was my last thing I was into. Watching all the sovereign citizens. Yeah, hey, you just say something right.
Get arrested. Yeah. Watch them all get arrested for driving around with magic marker license plates and stuff.
Yeah. They're like, what? I want a lawyer before I get out of this car. I wish. You better have that lawyer with you.
No, they don't arrest you because you're a sovereign citizen. They just don't arrest you because they feel like sorry for you. They think
exactly. I love those ones that are like,
surviving.
I'm a winner. That was a win.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
good times.
But power to the Republic. Yeah,
Yeah. The Star Wars Republic.
Not the Republic in the sense of what people think a Republic is through the use of the communist version of Republic.
Gotcha. Well, we're heading that way.
But the Republic.
Crazy.
So while these two are shooting the breeze, I will do my links for real. Big shout out to Shield Scanner first and foremost for his nice advert. Absolutely spectacular. Love it. So that was the video that was played out a moment ago using my links and intro. That was made by Shield Scanner, who is in the chat. So click on his name and subscribe to his channel. He's either new or just unpopular. He's only got about 16 subs, but I love that video because it's got me in it. So thank you very much for doing that. If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. There are at least 50% of of you in the audience now not subscribed, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's get it to 5,000 before Christmas. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the debate to contest anything being said by Tony or Mr. Grim V, simply click on the link in the info box below this video. Be sure to mute the page you are listening to me on now before you click that link. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. Number 2, if you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin using sock accounts. You will be welcome back on the next stream. And with that, I'll transition you back to the chit chat between Mr. Grim and Tony. Be sure to subscribe.
No love for those guys over there. They're shills.
A lot of people.
No, they are. I mean, if they know it or not, they shill because they hide parts of arguments. You know, they promote chemotherapy over all other, you know, cancer treatments and all this kind of stuff.
Marijuana is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
You know, marijuana is a hell of a drug.
Cannabis.
Cannabis is good.
Crack.
And it's good for you.
They promote GMOs and use of GMOs like glyphosate safe, and the vaccines are perfectly normal and safe. And you know, when your child has a seizure after 16 vaccines when he's newborn, it's normal. It's no big deal. It's normal. He'll bounce back. Don't worry about it. It's just a little seizure. Like, no, we don't. This isn't normal. This is not what you do to your kids, and this isn't even an effective way to prevent disease in the first place. Why would you have to give a kid 3 hepatitis or herpes vaccines by the time he's 6 months old? Get real. I mean, really? I mean, is that really necessary? Seriously, 3 of them by the time he's 6 months old? Seriously, it must be working good if he needs 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
like he's so like that much. I mean, those needles. When I saw it, I mean, my daughter got inoculated because it's almost like you have to do it. Like it was, and I was just, I know I did too.
They tried it. It almost seemed like I was going for my Heisman photo when I had my newborn son in one hand and shoving the nurse bitch out of the way of the fucking exit door of the other hand, talking about you can't go without getting these vaccines. You know, that's not. I'm like, who the hell? Like, oh no, we're gonna have to have someone come in here. And I'm like, no, you're not gonna have nothing except your fucking hand in your face. Move out of my way.
My wife, she's into the whole hospital thing, and I really didn't have a say at the time, which
bad you didn't know us. I mean, I've got studies, 81 studies linking, you know, the adjuvants to you know, autism symptoms and syndrome and all that.
Yeah. Why does there have to be mercury in there? Why does there? I know it's not. I know it's not actual mercury, but there's a mercury. It's
the thimerosal.
Base in there. It's the thimerosal. I mean,
aluminum also.
Right.
The polysorbic 80 and
yes, and right in the instructions it says, or right in the side effects, it says that there's a chance of autism. I mean, in some of the new ones, it's right there in the paperwork.
Right, and
but they're like, oh, that's just a side effect. Okay, well, so is. Yeah, so okay, it's just a side effect. Well, so is anal leakage and migraines. You know, I mean, the autism seems like a pretty big side effect.
Syndrome, death syndrome. So is that.
Yeah.
And, so is death labeled an adverse side effect? Really? Yeah. Just throw it out as a side effect? Wouldn't it be a direct effect? I mean, literally, if the vaccine killed you, wouldn't it be a direct effect of the vaccine?
Yeah,
how does it get away with being called a side effect? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, it's only a side effect if it didn't affect you. If it didn't affect you, it's not a side effect. If it did affect you, then it's an actual effect.
Right. If you didn't notice the effect, then it was effective.
You're good. Yeah, you're
right.
Good.
If you didn't notice your brain damage, which most people don't, then it's effective.
Yeah.
Right. If you didn't notice, the burnt neuron passageway and the barricading its way through, bombarding its way through the blood-brain barrier with the aluminum and thimerosal adjuvants, you know, dropping
just like a war in your head, like dropping bombs.
Yeah, that monkey kidney cell.
Well, at least we know.
Right in your head.
At least we know where flat earthers come from now. Just joking, guys. Just joking. It's just a thimerosal overdose. It makes you believe everything's flat planes.
Burnt neurons.
I'm on a 2D planet. Is that the Marisol?
Well, I
Yeah,
think
that's
that's
another
a
good one.
I think it's a red herring argument, the thimerosal. I mean, of course, yes, it's nasty, it's bad, and even in trace amounts and all that fun stuff. But then again, so are the, I mean,
breathing.
No, the monkey kidney cell and the gelatin and the other stuff that they put in the vaccine in the first place. The viral load itself, the neoplastia, cancer cells and all the stuff that they're using. People don't even realize what's in that. Canine kidney cells, monkey, bovine.
It's like a jambalaya. It's like a jambalaya. Got a little bit of everything in there.
Depending on whatever the vaccine is, yeah.
I don't do flu shots. I don't do flu shots, and my girl does flu shots, and I tell her why.
All kinds of crab stuff.
Am I cussing?
I hope I'm not cussing.
No, you said blue crab.
Okay, blue crab. Yeah, that almost sounds like a cuss word.
Shut up, you're a blue crab, man. Blue crab and ass. Blue crabber.
You're a blue crab juice and vaccine. It all sounds like cuss words.
Nathan, you're loving this, huh? Sorry, man.
No, he loves it.
You got a nice little platform
drunken
here.
kung fu. You got to stumble around, play drunken kung fu, and then they come in and try to debate you. Then you wake up.
Yep.
But I don't think anybody really wants to debate against the vaccines in this room. It looks like everybody seems in the chat, at least.
I can't read the chat. They're on our side.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It seems like the thing we're talking about here doesn't seem to be stirring up too much controversy.
All right. Let's see here. What should we say? What's your what gender do you go as? No.
Let's try and keep it flat Earth related. If I can get my tongue
I
out.
know. I'm sorry, man.
I am. I don't even know.
Maybe I could ask Tony.
The pronouns I would need to answer that question.
So Tony, you said you're a glober, right?
Yeah.
So what? If I just say why are you a glober? What makes you think you're on a spinning ball?
It's the celestial spheres is what that and the angular size of the sun. It's just hard to get around those two things. The equator thing that Grimm's brought up is I'm going to look into more, and it sounds like a good argument. But mine mostly are the celestial spheres. I don't see how that could happen outside of a sphere, and the angular size during the day, the sun stays the same size. Now, I heard your argument yesterday about, or was it yesterday, or was I just binge watching some of your stuff? But where you said there could be other land somewhere, and it could make another pole star. I just don't see that. I mean, I understand your argument on that, but it just seems like we've had all the stars locked down for a while now. We haven't found any new celestial bodies that I know of. Sometimes you find like a straight one, but it seems like we have them pretty well locked down. But I'm like a layman at this completely. So
Tony, is there a question you want to ask him particularly about that? Or vice versa? Am I going to moderate between you two?
I'm not really good at debating. I'm more of like I stand aside and then I'll jump in and say something, courage up a little more. Because
that'd be good practice for you.
Yeah, I just don't have my problem is the vocabulary. Like I think I was younger and I knocked a couple brain cells loose, and some of my vocabulary is dripped out somewhere. But but that's me. But the angular size of the sun, that's a big one too. I mean, if you put a solar filter on a camera, and it doesn't change size during the day, I don't know any other explanation than the sun is far away. I mean, I don't know any other explanation. I mean, I guess you could say that it's a hologram that changes size when it goes through the sky, because it knows where you are and it's your sun, but or maybe we all have our own suns. And the whole hologram thing, yeah, well, I got one daughter. Might go for a son here soon. But oh, and the sun, like, I just the people that say that sun's a hologram, how could a hologram like interact with us? Like, it burns. If I'm out there for like 20 minutes, I'm in Florida. If I'm outside for 20 minutes, I'm pink, like I'm getting burnt, you know. I mean, this hologram it interacts with us. It helps things grow. Now I'm just ranting. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Well, Tony, you just made a point about the sun not changing angular size throughout the day, and
yeah.
you know, stating that it's reasonable to conclude that it must be far away. I thought maybe it might be a good idea to talk a little bit about why that's an important point.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you think? Why do you think it's important that the sun is far away rather than close by?
Well, it'll go with the model that we see now. I mean, if it was anywhere near us, would there be a small variation in the size? I mean, I don't know if I'm answering this right, but that just goes for that. It's what's it, 93? How far is it away again?
About 93 million average.
Yeah. That would be consistent with something that's far away. I mean, it not changing size. I mean, I understand like when we go around, it probably changes like the most minute 0.00000 something, but it's negligible. That's the right word.
Well, yeah. One thing I was thinking, people that like to maybe think that the Earth is flat, they might think, well, maybe the sun's not quite that close. Maybe it's not 3,000 miles away, but it's farther. Farther than 3,000, but certainly it's not 93 million, because that's a really big number, and we don't like big numbers, so it can't be that far away. Maybe it's 10,000, maybe it's 15,000, maybe it's 8,000 miles away. Problem is, geometrically, they can't resolve that. And the truth be told, geometrically, you can't resolve any distance for the sun above a flat plane. It really is that simple. You cannot, there is no one distance to the sun or height above a flat Earth that will work out for multiple observers. You can't measure that to be the case. I invite any flat earther to explain. I challenge every flat earther to explain how you can assign a specific height to the sun above a flat plane that matches our observations without resorting to what is basically going to be termed as magic.
Magic, yeah.
Geometrically, it does not work.
Can I run this? I've been thinking about an argument. It's just small, but okay. We just had our solar eclipse, and it went from the northwest. The shadow traveled from the northwest to the southeast. Now the next one, and by the way, the globe, the model predicted it perfectly. The next one is going to be traveling from southwest to northeast. Now, how could that happen on a flat plane? I mean, I gotta tweak it a little bit, but I mean that would mean the sun is completely not going around a loop anymore. It's changing, and just the fact that we can actually predict it is predicted to the second too.
Yeah, the globe Earth model, so to speak, the heliocentric model. Nah, we'll just go with globe. I mean, because technically you could do the same thing with a geocentric model, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But it's a globe. There's no flat Earth. Well, see here, we have the same old problem. There is no flat Earth model in reality. I mean, there just isn't one. There's nothing that is out there that says, okay, this is how it is. This is how the flat Earth works. And you can make predictions of what you can observe based upon that model. It just doesn't exist. Of course, it's always my contention. There's a reason for that, and it's that it cannot exist.
Sorry, just to clarify something, Curve, you just said that it would work on the geocentric model and be pretty much the same, but don't the heliocentric observations come from the fact that we are spinning, therefore causing the stars to move? So I don't really understand how you say they could be the same, because one literally has the stars moving around us, and one has us moving with the stars, not fixed, but you know what I mean, without being pedantic.
Right. But whether the Earth rotates or whether it's the sky rotating around us is not strictly a differentiation between geo and helio. You can have rotating Earth or stationary Earth in geo.
Right. The model didn't dictate the observations. The observations dictated the model.
You have a problem with
I understand that. Sorry, just to re-clarify my question. So, in the heliocentric model, the stars move, and the way they move tells us, by your arguments consistently on this show, why we are spherical. It's based on those stars moving. So if you then take away the fact that they're moving, that we are moving, sorry, my apologies, and have the stars moving, that completely alters the proofs that you're using, i.e. the stars rotating because the Earth is spinning. I understand that they are completely separate models, but it just didn't make sense when you said, well, you could have either or.
You need a background reference.
That's not it, yeah.
Make that assertion in the first place. So we need the background reference from that position. We have to grant you that.
I mean, what we see is going to be the same if the universe is capable of rotating around us. Visually, it would appear the same from Earth as the Earth rotating with respect to the universe around us.
Like shaking hands, hold hands with somebody and spin around, and the objects behind the your person you're looking at change to perspective.
Yeah, it's kind of like you can't tell if you're spinning or if the room is spinning around you in a very simplistic manner.
It's like who's spinning? Who's spinning? Is it us, me and you spinning, or is the world spinning around us?
Like that. Yeah, that Gravitron ride. That's the first time like I've really noticed that. That one at those little fairs that come through town, one where it plasters you on the side of the wall, and the guy sitting in the middle. That's a good.
Okay, maybe it's just me being dumb. I don't get it. To me, the two are so radically different in terms of what they present and how they are used to present proof of sphericity. It's so polar. They're so far apart. I just can't. Maybe I can't. Maybe it's me being stupid.
Well, let's try to help it. Let's try to get through that then, because I'm not sure exactly what the question is at the moment, but I'd like everybody to be able to try to answer it. If I just knew more about exactly what the question is at the moment, I don't want to repeat things or answer a question you didn't actually ask.
Maybe it's not. It's because I'm not really phrasing it specifically as a question. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what you've said, which is that it doesn't make any difference if it's the stars spinning around us or us spinning causing the stars to appear to be moving because we are moving. Well, in the examples in the debate up until now, it seemed to me like you're saying, well, you've got these two polar stars and the stars moving around us, which would indicate that we are spherical. But if they are moving around us, that kind of robs from that proof in my mind, unless you can tell me otherwise.
Okay, I can address that. Take a globe and picture this. Okay, put yourself on the globe, observing what you see as you spin around on that globe when the globe rotates. How you see progressively everything around you. It's going to appear to rotate around you. Now, keep the globe still. Picture yourself on the globe, and everything rotates around you while the globe is sitting still. And these are relative terms. Still relative to what? Moving relative to what? But either way, you're going to see the same thing. It's going to appear the same. When you want to get to which one is actually doing what, there are different things needed to make that absolute determination. And it's relative. Yeah, go ahead.
The observations from there you can see have a relationship to their position on a sphere. You see curvature and arc ratios in the air at different latitudes, which relate to what you would see only on a sphere. You can't you can't even map that out to show that happening on a flat map. That's the
You're
point.
talking about like the altitude of Polaris, that kind of stuff.
All of those types of things, as far as, the movements of the sun and the moon, even, and different things like that. So
Just simple.
It's the most simple stuff. I try not to even get too complicated with it.
Okay, I mean, let's take
those
exactly that then.
ratios on a flat map. You can't get what you see observationally to happen on the flat map.
So does that alter then? So just with that example, so the altitude of Polaris, does that alter in the two models?
No.
Say that one more time. I was interrupting you.
Sorry, the altitude of Polaris in the heliocentric and geocentric models, are they the same?
Well, yeah. If you're talking geocentric globe, because it's a globe thing. It's not about what's spinning or what's moving. It's about angular relationships over distance on the surface of the Earth.
Again, if I'm being stupid, feel free to tell me. But if we're
geocentric, mean flat Earth,
again?
in your question,
because
I don't think all geocentricity is flat Earth stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people
shape
do.
of the Earth related.
You might want to discern. I mean, because there might be a spherical geocentric argument that.
Oh, there absolutely is. Yeah.
We might.
Most geocentrics are globers.
I know. I'm just my ignorance, Grim.
I don't know enough about geocentric model, basically.
By saying geocentricity.
Sure, but it's just I'm just trying to wrap my head around.
If you've got long on the wrong premise.
Okay, but if you've got fixed distances in both models and they're the same, wouldn't that dictate that, let's say, Jupiter, if that's at a fixed distance on a geocentric Earth, it's going to be travelling at a vastly different distance in vastly different directions because it's moving rather than us moving. Obviously, just in the solar system. Forget the rest of it.
Speeds get crazy in geocentrism.
So the speeds do get crazy.
Yes, they would have to be. You get out past Neptune, I think, and you're talking about things moving faster than the speed of light to rotate around us daily.
Physical matter moving faster than the speed of light.
So, but using the stars, you can't pick between the two of them. Is that what you're saying?
No, you cannot visually determine.
So at this point, then, wouldn't it be absolutely critical to prove one way or the other whether or not we're spinning?
I'm just worried. I lean on that one argument. If I was just new and didn't know anything else, that it would be ridiculous to think if the argument was that it's ridiculous to think we're going 1,000 miles an hour and then 108,000 miles an hour. If it's impossible to think that we're going those speeds, then why would we lean further into we must be moving well beyond the speed of light? I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. Even if I was just brand new, I couldn't lean that way because of that main part.
It's understandable.
And again, I just want to reiterate, Nathan, my only point is that from an observer, a single observer standing on the Earth, or multiple observers standing on the Earth, just looking visually, you can't distinguish between, is it the globe rotating or is it, everything that we can see rotating around us? That's all. It's a very simple thing. You need other things to determine, and it's not really crucial to the shape of the Earth argument.
What are those
because,
other
things?
What are the other things beyond that then? I understand now, but so beyond that, what determines the spin? What is it that we use to determine that spin?
Well, if it's the solar system moving around us, you've got retrograde motion is the big thing. I don't think anybody wants to
orbit.
What's that?
I don't understand the question. Spin of the planet?
Are you talking about rotation or orbit?
Orbit. The inertia of the orbit.
Okay, I mean,
it's such a wide arc that you're not going to feel it as an inertia from changing two different directions. It's going to feel like one direction. It's like riding in a train going forward. You just don't feel that.
There's more reason why we don't feel the orbital speed, and that's due to the fact that it's free fall. It's just like the astronauts on the ISS. They're in free fall.
Sorry,
They're
I'll
not going to
just
feel the effects
reiterate
of
my
gravity.
question. I'm not asking you to determine why we don't feel it. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is what specifically determines that we are moving.
The spin you said, or that's why I asked the difference. But is it the spin of the planet that you're talking about? Because there's different tools to determine different effects. So, are you talking about the spin of the planet?
Well, in the heliocentric model and the geocentric model that we've just established, it would be either the stars moving around the spherical Earth or the Earth spinning, causing those stars to appear to move. Well, either or. If you can take either position. Okay. I don't mind which.
If you took a table, and then you nailed one of those, what are they called, mother-in-law tables on top? You know, where it spins around. Right?
Oh yeah,
Lazy Susan.
Lazy Susan.
Okay,
So
mother-in-law. You take a pendulum and you swing the pendulum, right? Right, and the pendulum is free motion connected to the table that spins. All right, so you swing the pendulum in one direction and don't spin the table, and you notice the pendulum stays only going in the one direction. But then if you start spinning the table and you have a peg around the pendulum, you'll see that the pendulum will start knocking over other pieces because it's having a rotating effect. Even though the pendulum is still swinging forward in the same direction it was, the ground underneath the pendulum has now moved so that you can now knock over those pieces. You'll notice that. You can do this for yourself. It's real simple. You can do it like with a ball of string and a couple of lids to some mason jars and kind of just spin it and show yourself in relativity to the spin. And, you know, you can calculate that and see that. But see, there's the thing. On a sphere, it spins like this, and you have different relationships. Different angles of attack or different amounts of inertia because of the location towards the equator. So the closer to the equator you get, you would expect there to be less inertia from the spin. It would be just spinning the same way, right, as the equator. So you had to understand that now what we're dealing with on that aspect is the actual proof that we're moving in a relationship that is indicative to understanding that we're on a sphere. If you can figure out how we can replicate those effects on the flat plane and change the angle of the the draw of the ball, then we can somehow figure that out in another day. But all I've heard against the Foucault pendulum is
It's been proven.
So can I ask a follow-up question?
They're in all kinds of locations all over the globe.
I'm a bit confused again. So inertia is the reason we don't feel the Earth spin, but you're saying there is inertial changes. So can we detect those changes?
No, I'm not saying that. I never said inertia is the reason we don't feel the Earth spin. I didn't never say that.
And can I say really quickly the reason we don't really detect
we don't feel the inertia
of the Earth?
Because we're going in such an arc. Because I didn't say spin, I said traveling around the sun. That's why I was asking, what's the difference? What actually are we talking about? The spin of the Earth or the orbit of the Earth?
Okay, so is there an inertial difference?
Because the force generated by that rotation is really too small for us to perceive.
Right.
But it's enough to change what a pendulum does varied on its position on the globe.
The pendulum can do it because the pendulum is in a motion that is frozen to its position. It's already swinging in this motion.
So there is an inertia change then. There must be
kinetic potential.
So there is an inertia change then. So for the pendulum to react differently at a different point in the globe, there is a different amount of inertia acting on that pendulum.
Right. That's true.
That's why you have to start the pendulum first, right?
So what else?
It processes according to latitude and hemisphere.
Sure.
It processes the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere.
And are planes affected by this inertial change as they traverse the
planes
globe?
Aren't pendulums.
Planes are not falling free fall over and over again from a fixed position.
I'm just asking yes or no. Are they affected or aren't they?
No, I'm saying no, and why, so you understand why as well. It's a completely different reference, a completely different physicality.
Do you doubt
planes are flying in the air?
The truthfulness of Foucault pendulums, Nathan?
I wouldn't take the Foucault pendulum as proof that we spin on our axis.
Can I ask why?
because it's a pendulum. It's just a pendulum. Same applies to the gyroscope. I wouldn't use the gyroscope to prove that we were flat plane. You know, I just think these crude tools are not sufficient to demonstrate it.
The physics behind the reasoning, why it moves the way it does.
Yeah, do you even dispute?
You couldn't throw it away and be responsible at the same time.
Sure, but
do you dispute the precession of the pendulums?
No, I'd say that in the technological age where before I was even born, we were in a position to physically go out and observe it spinning, that would be a much better proof. So to rely on something like a pendulum, which is pretty crude by comparison to the technology we are told that we have at NASA, I see that as kind of archaic to use that type of technology to prove the Earth spins.
Right. But just because the ring laser gyroscope is more advanced than a pendulum, that doesn't negate the fact that the pendulums precess according to their latitude and hemisphere.
I wouldn't use either.
And you know how YouTube is always going on about the flaws at the pivot point? You know that? How is always saying Foucault pendulums are no good because you can't engineer a perfect joint, ball joint, and all that. It's bogus, it's bull. And if you were correct that some kind of a flaw at a pivot point were the cause of the precession, then how does he explain that as you reach the equator, they precess less and less, and at the equator they don't precess at all?
Okay, so I haven't presented that argument. That's not my reason for not taking.
I'm just pointing out that is full of crap because he spreads that nonstop. Okay. It's his main weapon to hide behind. It's his shield.
Not a weapon,
and it's garbage.
It's like a nice
precess due to latitude and the latitude affects it due to the shape of the Earth. That's why it precesses according to the latitude.
Do you accept my reason for not accepting it as a? Do you accept my reason for not accepting it, or do you think that
ice cream cones?
So would you accept that reasoning for not accepting what seems like a pretty archaic tool by comparison to modern day microchips and computers and rocket technology?
No.
Wouldn't you say that it's
pretty
archaic?
Of a task, so you don't need that difficult of a tool. It's like we're slicing bread. Do we need a super laser toaster slicer, or can we just use a simple knife to slice the bread?
So why do we have it then?
Slicing bread here with the Foucault pendulum. I don't know how complicated this really can be.
But we do have a laser slicer.
The pendulum isn't something you can mess with and really.
What do you need more than that?
But we do have a laser slicer for the breads. We have NASA. That's exactly what
I know.
we
we don't need it.
Do we need one to slice bread, or can this bread still also be sliced with a regular knife? That's my point.
Can I just rip the bread?
No matter what, the bread just got sliced. That's the point I'm making.
But be honest, Grim, if you had a laser slicer, wouldn't you want to use it?
But that's not the point.
I mean, you know, there's turning on a lightsaber to cut through your bread.
Is something useful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, if you've got a laser slicer, the metaphorical equivalent being NASA, and you've got a lazy old dusty saw, why would you use the saw?
You have the laser slicer images from NASA too. Remember, I showed that on your show already. Man.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, the reason for me saying the Foucault pendulum and gyroscopes I wouldn't use as proof of anything is because we are in a vastly enhanced technological age by comparison to those dusty old crude tools.
Yeah, but most flat earthers, don't they use their perception?
Hey Nathan, I can give you something a lot more sophisticated than mechanical gyroscopes and Foucault pendulums. Do you know what IRS is in aviation terms?
I've heard the term. Remind me.
It's inertial reference system. It's the modern method of referencing anything that needs a inertial reference on an aircraft. And it's centralized with a system called ADIRU, Air Data Inertial Reference System. And that's the central reference system for anything that needs a reference. And they use ring laser gyros.
Signac.
They can detect rotation. As a matter of fact, before pilots prepare for any flight, they have to align that system, which means they have to. It takes, like, depending on your latitude, anything between 15 and I think 5 or 6 minutes to get a fix on the rotation of the Earth. That's about as sophisticated as it comes. If you've got objections to the sophistication of the other systems. If you're interested, I can link you up to a Honeywell training video where it's all explained.
Yeah, man. Wicked. I'm always interested in cool tech.
All right, let me find it for you. Give me a few minutes.
Thank you.
Hey, while he's looking for that,
We teach you how to make your own Sagnac. What's it called? The Sagnac interferometer?
Saniac. Saniac.
Manipulating wigwam. Smiamiac.
Aflac.
So Nathan, what is your objection to the simplicity of the Foucault pendulum? You don't have anything technological there that you can mess with, that you can fake it or anything like that. Why would you reject the simple results of this?
Because it's been superseded.
Why not?
What's that?
It's been superseded by something far, far, far better.
Okay, but what discounts the results of the Foucault pendulum?
Nothing discounts them. I'm saying I reject them as archaic in an age where we have space travel, rockets, and all those exceptionally expensive things that are there to prove heliocentricity.
We have the same thing. We have Adrian, Nathan. That's not crude. If your objection is that it's crude, then this is very sophisticated. This is as good as it gets.
Yeah, man. It sounds it. Huey, I'm looking forward to reading all about it. It sounds really exciting. I know nothing about it other than what I've seen on Globebusters. You know what I mean?
It's only 5 minutes. And that's the training video.
Roll that beam footage.
Tells pilots how to align the ADA route. And that's entirely dependent on rotation of the Earth. And that's as sophisticated as it gets.
Woo!
Bless you.
Thank you.
This has been around for something like 20 years, actually. Ever since they've been able to make ring laser gyros small enough to go in an avionics bay.
Sounds like a Jesuit construct to me.
What's your experience with them, Huey?
These are the facts.
What's your experience with them, Huey?
I had no experience with them other than a friend of mine is a commercial pilot and he put me onto it. But it's just what I've managed to find out on my own.
Have you been doing your own research, Huey?
I'm afraid I have, Mr. Curved.
Good work. Good work.
Thank you, sir.
And I know it's secondhand, but
I do applaud that.
What does your friend do with the ring laser gyro then exactly?
He's a commercial pilot and he has to align it every time they prepare for a flight plan. You have to make sure the aircraft's still and stable. You can't even have anything loading on there. The slightest movement on the aircraft will throw it out.
So he's an end user of the product?
Yes, he is. He's an end user of the product.
Okay.
He's a commercial pilot on a 777 fleet. He's a senior first officer.
Just to spark debate, I mean, I'm an end user of this computer, but I don't really know how it works.
Well, Honeywell will explain how it works. If you watch the training video, it's explained in there.
Fair enough.
Alrighty. We aim to please. Glad I can help.
It was very fun.
I'm going to do another link before I introduce you, Brenda, because we've got about, I think, 10 minutes left approximately. Let's just double check that. About 10 minutes left, so I'll encourage a few people to join, as there may be people who want to do a bit of last minute trolling. So if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a link to Super Chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And more importantly, if you would like to join the debate to express your views on the shape of the Earth, click the link in the info box below this video. Be sure to mute the page you are currently listening to me on before you click that link. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And number 2, if you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin using sock accounts. So with that, there's probably, as I say, about 10 minutes left on this broadcast. If anyone did want to join to do any last minute trolling or express their views, now is the time to do so.
Good morning, Nathan.
Hello, very welcome. How are you doing, Brenda?
It's 10 minutes till 8 a.m. here, so sort of just woke up.
10 till 9 here.
What's your subject?
Talking gyros and pendulums.
Oh yeah,
The crudeness of those tools.
They conclusively prove that the Earth rotates and is round. Simple physics.
So sit on your gyros.
Mm-hmm. They do.
And would you take that as your oh Christ. Would you take that as your first port of call then, or would you go to NASA?
I agree with your daughter on that one.
Yeah, I was just going to say that too. I like what she's saying.
What was that you say?
More snacks.
I think she said.
She said more snacks, right? More snacks, Dad.
She said hit
What's
that
your
super
daughter's?
chat.
What's your daughter's name?
Eleanor.
Huh?
I second that notion.
Eleanor.
That's a nice name.
So what do you say then, Brenda? Would you take pendulums and gyroscopes as your primary source of evidence?
They're conclusive proof that the Earth rotates and is round.
More so than a picture from NASA showing it spin.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd say so too.
Wow,
because
really?
It'd be
okay.
Because it would be independent. People claim that NASA is deceitful and things like that, but physics is not deceitful.
Fair enough. Is there anything in between the two? So from, a pivoting pendulum to rockets and computers, and is there something in between maybe that I can look at that would prove it's spinning?
Well, a lot of flat earthers to say they use their perception, right? Like I don't feel that the planet's moving. I see flat water. Where would that rate on the crudeness scale? I mean, that seems like a pretty crude tool to use. But
Well, the eye is an archaic tool, isn't it? It's like older than any other tool we've been using, I think.
Pretty sure modern cameras have got
then our
microchips
brain
in
has
them and very carefully crafted lenses and all sorts of motors. I wouldn't say that was crude.
Well, what science has shown throughout many, many years is that our common sense, our initial ideas of how things work is not very good. What we think, the way we think the world should work is not how it works.
You're kind of ignoring my question. So
the world refuses
is there an
to
in-between?
obey.
Sorry, I've got to cut you off, Brenda, because you're just ignoring my question. So is there an in-between pendulums and NASA? Is there something in between those two things? One's very extreme computers, tech, and you've gone, well, looking at flat water was Tony's, was his name, example. Well, I'm saying no, you need quite sophisticated technology in order to do that.
What I've just referred you to.
But is there an in-between?
Well, the hangout's over.
I don't know. I suppose sunrises, sunsets, ships going over the curve.
Debunked by zooming cameras?
No, never debunked.
No.
Never debunked.
No.
Only on days where the
ships going over the curve have never been debunked.
Never.
Reds has like one of the best videos on that. Well, the one with the big tanker with the red bottom that disappears.
Okay, well that's still a resounding no then. We're still not getting anywhere. Is there anything else?
Why are we not getting anywhere?
My question, I'll say it one more time and then I'll duck out.
We just got like all the way around the globe.
Just for curved, I'll say it one more time. We have what I consider to be an archaic proof, pendulums and gyroscopes. At the other end of the scale, we have NASA literally showing us a ball in space spinning. Is there anything in between those two things that I can use to prove the Earth is spinning?
Well, why not use one of those two things again?
Yeah, why do we need something else?
I just gave him what he's
not demonstrated a reason other than
Star trails, I suppose. Yeah.
So we have different things at different ends of the
spectrum.
Curve,
just got to adjust this with Brenda. We've already established at the beginning of this conversation, Brenda, that the star trails don't determine from your observation point whether the Earth is spinning or the stars are spinning around us. Curved was the one generous enough to point that out to the audience.
But keep in context my point there. It's just from a matter of kinematically. And, you can't just use your eyes and make the determination which one it is.
Sure, and I'm saying you can't just use a pendulum.
There's more that
I'm saying you can't just use a pendulum.
That's why we use high altitude balloon footage.
So you asked for something in between, and the star trails would fit that because one or the other must be spinning.
So it doesn't prove we spin then?
But it proves that one of us must be.
Right, well, that's not what I asked for. Try and pay attention, Brenda. We're trying to establish. We're trying to establish that we spin.
You guys didn't give any credence to our
with something in between. So
yeah, to prove that we spin, Brenda, not to prove that it's one way or the other.
You understand that? You asked for in between.
And what I've been given so far.
So that means indeterminate. To me, that means indeterminate. So it must be one or the other.
Yeah, we've established that, Brenda. Thanks
that's
for the
in between. So
thanks
that's
for the
in
update.
between.
That's really helpful.
Can we get one flat Earth tool that actually works and says that the Earth is flat? How many tools are those? Are there any?
Any more for any more?
Other than
We're still with NASA and pendulums so far. Nothing new on the table.
Well, how about flat Earth? Is there something that flat earthers use?
Well, the pendulum still wins. The pendulum is not defeated, so you can't say, "Oh, I don't like the pendulum," so the pendulum is off the table. You can't do that.
That's what I did say.
Nothing is
That's
valid.
pretty much word for word what I did say, Grim. That's exactly what I did say. That's you saying I can't say that. Just got to point this out to Grim. Sorry, you're all talking at once when I'm talking now, and literally, I'm the host on my own, surrounded by globe heads. Normally, I'd be defending the only flat earther, but there we go. So if I can just say, I just want to say this to Grim. I literally did say exactly that. I reject the pendulums as archaic. You're saying you don't want to. You don't have to. I'm not making you reject them, but I do.
But you're not rejecting it on the grounds that it's invalid.
Right. You can't reject it because it's not invalid. It's not a reasonable argument with rationality. It's been supported by something that you don't reject. That's funny.
Here's a reasonable argument. We've been lied to since our birth.
Yeah, I doubt this.
We're just shedding off all the lies.
Man, bring something.
That's not a very good argument.
Can you hear me, Nathan?
But it's the truthful one. It doesn't have to be very good, but it's truthful.
No, it begs the question.
It's like all your other questions do.
See, because the conclusion is present in your premise.
Can you hear me, Brenda?
Yes.
Okay, Curve, can you hear me?
I hear you. I've been trying to tell you.
I'm confused here because Nathan keeps saying there's nothing in between NASA and crude pendulums. I just gave him what he was asking for. I gave him the solution on a silver platter, and he seems to be ignoring me. Maybe he can't hear me.
I'm not ignoring you.
The gyro is not NASA. The ring laser gyro stuff is not NASA.
I didn't ignore you. Thank you very much for doing it. Thank you very much for passing it to me. I haven't looked at it.
Why do you keep saying there's nothing in between when I just shown you something in between?
Okay, sorry.
There are spring gyros too, just like the Foucault pendulum.
It's a very advanced gyroscope.
The same result.
I gave you what you were asking for, and twice since you keep saying, "Oh, there's nothing in between." I just showed you what's in between.
It's a gyroscope, is it not?
It's kind of frustrating, you know.
Sorry,
you know what's kind of frustrating is people that stay stagnant and never evolve their opinion, kind of like you guys.
Okay, Truth. How about this? Do you have a tool that you can measure the flatness of Earth that we would agree with that actually works, or do you just have a bunch of assertions and a bunch of claims?
You guys will move the goalpost and deny any evidence that
what just happened, right? We said three things and none of them were accepted, even though all three of them work.
Yep.
No, they
wouldn't.
So who's you guys?
Am I being
So when you say you guys, do you really mean you guys?
I want to know when you guys will actually produce a working model. We know the.
I want to know when you will stop.
We're waiting
repeating
for you guys
yourself.
to produce a working model.
We have one. Where's yours?
No, yours is imaginary, like Santa Claus.
Okay, hey,
Your model
predict the next solar phase. Predict the next solar eclipse.
Actually, the fact that the same solar eclipses happen at the same cycles proves we're stationary. That's a great point.
Your bride in here broke up.
The fact that we can predict the same cycles of the heavens proves that we're stationary.
Are you telling me that the solar eclipse is the same every year? Is that what you just said?
I'm saying if we're in an ever-expanding universe where a force isn't stopped until it's acted upon, yeah, our stars should be changing, brother.
Well, they are.
Solar eclipses that have overlapped each other.
Well, the stars do move. We can detect their movement.
You see how much illogical fallacies it takes to believe your arguments, and how much
Did you just
learn
the word illogical fallacy today?
It's just a logical fallacy. It takes so many assumptions and secondhand knowledge to believe in the globe.
Is that your new word of the week? Good job.
That's not
You
true.
can use so many first-hand experiments to debunk it.
You're not talking right now. When you're talking to Mr. Grimm, you're not talking to a gravitational based theoretical believer. So all the things that you say about, oh, you're just parroting the standard bullshit, and I mean, excuse my French there, but the standard stuff. Well, you're not. I'm not. Obviously, you can't really make those sort of blanketed statements. There are other explanations as to why. Yeah, we see observationally the things that we see better than gravitationally based theories alone.
Something everybody should be actually observant of is there are shills on the spectrum. So there'll be half-truthers, there'll be full-out blown deniers. They let some people say, "Oh, I used to be a flat earther, and then I found the light and came back." They create false accounts.
Kind of like you saying, "I used to be a glober and now I'm a flat earther."
Dude, I want two words for you.
Man.
Two words for you, dude. Vernal equinox.
For real, beat that.
Come back when you're done.
How about you give us one idea?
Two words for you. No curvature.
It's already proven your curvature,
ridiculous.
Dude. That's not an argument.
I just want to see a picture of the curved oceans or an airplane in Australia landing upside down. I'll be waiting.
And that's hilarious. The fact that you think that that's what you...
And with that, I am going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to our live audience, first and foremost, for joining us on this debate. And also a massive thank you to the panellists for making this debate possible. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.